My name is Caitlin. I'm a holistic nutritionist, and today we are so excited. We have Dr. Sarah Zaldivar. She's a PhD. She's coming to us from Florida. She's going to talk about weight loss and honing your carnivore diet. Thank you so much, Dr. Sarah Zaldivar, for being with us.
Thank you so much, Caitlin. I'm very excited to be talking to you today.
We had an interview not long ago where I was on her channel, so make sure and check that out. And today she's on my channel, so we're so excited. And I know you have worked really hard on, learning so much and working on yourself. So tell us a little bit about your story and your journey with carnivore.
Yeah, so I've started shifting my dietary interests from a very young age, but at first it really was for the acne because when I was going through school to become a dietitian, it was all about calories in, calories out, and I kind of was doing that for the body composition goals. But I was struggling with acne that was terrible. And I did everything, 2 rounds of Accutane. I did antibiotics, birth control pills, the spironolactone for 2 years. Did I mention 2 rounds of Accutane with like the black box warning on it? And, so nothing worked. It actually, the Accutane made my acne worse. I started having cystic acne for the first time in my life, which I never had before. And that's when I was at my wit's end. I wouldn't want to go out on dates or like my friends want to go out and then be like stuck at home just because I was so not happy about the way that I looked. And so eventually I took matters into my own hands and I discovered Lauren Cordain's book, The Acne Cure. That was back in the day where like the internet was kind of starting to have good content there. And the whole book was about paleo diets. I don't think he even mentions the word paleo diet. He just talks about how our hunter-gatherer ancestors didn't have acne, even their teenagers didn't have acne. And it worked. It was for the first time in my life and he says within like by the end of the first month, you will see the clearance of your skin. And it did happen so I was sold there. But somehow I still didn't make the link between that and the body composition. I don't know why. And then when I left, so I grew up in Lebanon. I did my bachelor's and my master's in nutrition and dietetics over there. I became a licensed dietitian, so I did the whole internship for a whole year at a hospital, and then you sit for like a board exam to become a licensed dietitian. So I did all that, got all my degrees and licensure over there. And then I hopped on a plane and I did my doctorate in exercise physiology and nutrition at the University of Miami. So when I landed in Miami in 2012, like right away as a doctoral student, they put you to teach and work on research. So on top of, because that's why they're paying you, they by the way, not a lot of people apparently know that you get paid to do your doctorate. I feel like every time I say that, people act horrified. It's like, what? You get paid? It's like, yeah, nobody pays for their doctorate. So, but they pay you because you are an employee now and you're working on research projects and you are teaching courses. It's like you're cheap labor in a way, as opposed to them hiring somebody else to teach those classes. So, I was like having so much anxiety. First of all, I came to Miami on a one-way ticket. I didn't know anybody, like literally no family member, no one. By myself, I had $2,000. My mom was like, I bought you the ticket and I gave you $2,000 and that's going to cover your first month rent and furnish the apartment. That was it. I didn't even have a car. So it was a lot of stuff. I was very happy, I was very happy, but at the same time overwhelmed because I chose a doctorate also in a separate field. It wasn't, so the doctorate wasn't nutrition, but mainly the main focus was exercise physiology. Nutrition was a supporting field. So I was learning exercise physiology basics on day one, like on Tuesday, and then on Thursday I'm supposed to teach it to students that are pretty much my age. I'm 25, they're like 22, 23. So the anxiety was through the roof. And so I started looking at ways to manage the anxiety with public speaking. And it ended up, I landed on keto diets. What's the name of the surgeon? Dr. David Perlmutter. I know now he kind of like, he's recommending carbs, I think, again, from what I've heard. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like he's recently, but back then it was all about keto. His website, it was fantastic. And the moment I tried keto, and literally on day 7, it's like the brain fog lifted. It was an amazing feeling, and I was sold. And I started doing more research, reading the books from, Dr. Stephen Finney and Dr. Jeff Volek. They were early pioneers, right? And in terms of conducting the research and writing the books on keto for healthy living. And also, and they had another book for performance, because I was always into working out. So that was another major shift in me kind of like losing faith in the traditional way of like mainstream medicine, and also nutrition as a whole. So paleo, then keto, and then from keto I was still struggling with sugar addiction and binges, and that's when I discovered a carnivore. And yeah, so it's been a very long road. So I guess you could say it started when I was 18, and I'm 36 right now.
Yeah, sounds similar to me. But I started when I was like 6, doing diets and
At
doing
6?
diets and everything. Yeah.
Wow. I don't
I
think I
mean, my
remember.
parents took me
Yeah.
to Weight Watchers,
Wow. Yeah,
Mhm.
I don't
That's the
so
American way.
right, that's so young. Do you remember those like memories from when you were 6?
Oh yeah, I remember like measuring my food, and it was like it was before they had points, so it was like just like the half cup. You could have like a half a cup of like cottage cheese, and I remember all that. Oh yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's insane. I don't know like how like, because that can put so much focus on food from such a young age. For me, the first time I went to see a dietitian, I was still young, I think. I was 14. And I was like begged my mom to take me because I was struggling, and I was doing those crash diets. You eat nothing, and then like by day 3, I like just
Yeah.
dive into a Nutella jar, you know? And then yeah, and then I started dieting at 14.
Oh yeah. I mean, I used to drink like Diet Coke all day long. That's it. Like,
Wow. The
and
stuff that, yeah, was done to us. Really, I feel like it's just the food environment is what caused this, which the food environment isn't getting any better, right? They're still marketing to our children hugely addictive foods. It's so funny. I wrote my weight loss guide the other day. We were talking about this earlier, and I posted a post on my Instagram, and I tried to promote it. I tried to put money behind it to run it as an ad. They wouldn't let me because they're like, oh, this is, it's a weight loss guide. We don't want anything to make people feel badly about themselves. Then you look at all of the junk food companies that are all the ads that are being run on social media, Instagram, Facebook, targeting children, kids,
mhm.
preteens. So that's okay, but I cannot promote a weight loss guide. I'm still not over it.
And you're not telling people to starve themselves or do anything that's not like,
Exactly.
I mean, they're gonna feel better if anything, and that's
Right. I
then
have a
it's
PhD
restricted.
in the field, right?
Yeah.
I'm not like just somebody who like an 18-year-old who started a social media account and is selling like, if my guide can't go through, then it's crazy, crazy times we're living in. Follow the money, basically.
So what's your kind of like what's your idea now? Like what's your typical day, and what do you tell your clients?
Yeah, so I think the easiest diet and what I'm following is a carnivore diet, and it's just the most sober meal plan that you can follow. It's not going to deplete your dopamine when you consume it, versus if I'm having, rice and carbs. And anytime you mix a carbohydrate source with a fat source, it really stimulates the addictive parts of your brain. And what it does, it releases a lot of dopamine all at once from your dopamine pool in your brain. And so that leads to like a dip in your dopamine levels after that. And this is where people feel like they finish eating a carbohydrate meal, but then they want more. It's what they want is more dopamine because they've depleted their dopamine. And then they get into that cycle of cravings and binge eating and yo-yo dieting. And so for me and for my clients that are most successful are the clients that are just adhere to carnivore. It's just so much easier you're not consumed with food, with thoughts about food and can I do this, or can I fit in this extra snack because I have those extra calories, or it's just you're constantly thinking about what you're going to eat. So food freedom really, I think, comes from a carnivore diet. This is the most sober meal plan that I can think of.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely the most free I've felt as far as able to think about other things, not just, oh, when can I eat again? What can I eat again? You know, just consumed by it. And I know you do like some kind of reverse dieting or something like that. Like, what is your special tweaks on? I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
I'm sure some of it is secret, but
No secrets. Why? I don't like to keep secrets. Maybe I should learn though. So yeah, reverse dieting is another major secret. And it's the reason why 99% of people who lose weight can't maintain their weight loss. And that's because we haven't really been taught this. Even when I went through dietitian school, I don't ever remember any of my professors mentioning that. And it's also not their fault because I think it was pretty much a very recent thing that was published in the literature. So doctors like Lane Norton, which I know a lot of people in the carnivore community don't like too much, but he actually really understands this phenomenon. And I think we can take that and combine it with the carnivore diet to get results, because just because you're eating a sober meal plan and it's easier for you to stick to the diet does not mean you're just going to lose weight. It's very easy, as a matter of fact, to overconsume calories because bacon, butter, fat doesn't take too much volume in our stomachs, and it's very calorie dense, right? And unlike what most people hate to hear, you still, I trust me, you still need a caloric deficit. This is how people have lost weight throughout history. This is how bodybuilding competitors win show like clockwork, show after show. They know like they understand those basic principles. So you still need a caloric deficit to lose weight. However, here's the problem. Every time we create a caloric deficit, the body tries to, your body freaks out because it doesn't know for how long this discrepancy between how many calories you're burning and how many calories you're taking in, it doesn't know for how long it's going to last. So you could potentially be in that caloric deficit forever, and then you can waste away and die. You stop eating, right? So your body is really trying to protect you. It's a normal thing it does. When it senses a discrepancy and it senses a caloric deficit, it's like, wait a second, there's not enough energy coming in compared to how much energy I'm actually burning. Let me stop spending calories frivolously, like fidgeting or having a great mood, or things that require calorie expenditure that are not necessary for survival. So your metabolism starts to slow down. This is what metabolic adaptation is, also known as adaptive thermogenesis. And so, or just slowing down of your metabolism. In order to restore your metabolism, what you would need to do, and that is the trick, that is how you maintain your weight loss. After you lose the weight, you have to restore your metabolism. So you've lost the weight, but you also slow down your metabolism. Okay, now to maintain this leaner body weight, you can only maintain it at probably just eating 1,000 calories a day, which is, there's no way anybody can go through life eating just 1,000 calories. So the moment you eat a normal diet, and you're eating 2,000, 2,500 calories, all of a sudden you're rapidly regaining all the weight. And this is where most people, they lose their minds. It's like, what is happening? What was going on? It's because you have to go through the process of reverse dieting. How do we reverse diet you out? We very slowly start to increase, we start to train your metabolism in the opposite direction. The same way we trained your metabolism to slow down, we can also train it to go up. You can literally add 2,000 extra calories to your maintenance calories just by going through the process of reverse dieting. But the more calories you would like to add to your metabolism, the more you would like to speed it up, the longer it's going to take, because you need enough time to have enough strength training sessions under your belt to raise your lean muscle mass, which really is what speeds up your metabolism. So the way we do that, I like to start with an extra 50 calories extra per day, per week, daily, for my clients. So I have, so my client, Jennifer Brown, I've actually put her testimonial on my website. We've achieved her weight loss. It's so funny because she had spent thousands of dollars working with another sugar addiction specialist last year. She's like, if I only told you the thousands of dollars I spent on that program, I was in shock. I'm like, I should be charging so much more. And it didn't work. And then when she started working with me, she lost all the weight. We did carnivore because she's struggled with all kinds of addictions. So this worked for her. She lost all the weight. And she's like, I don't want to lose weight anymore. I'm super happy. Let's now start maintaining. So now to maintain her, what I started doing, I'm reverse dieting her out. And she even lost weight even in the first few weeks of reverse dieting, even though we're increasing calories. She's still losing weight. So we were increasing calories even more now. So she can eat like right off the bat an extra 200 calories a day to slowly train her metabolism. And so eventually by the end of 2 or 3 months, she'll be able to eat an extra 1,000 calories, and we can go even further if she'd like to eat even more with strength training. And now she can maintain. Now she's literally shredded. She's in her 60s, so now she can maintain that physique. Yes, at a much higher calories, so she can eat an extra 1,000 calories and still maintain the shredded physique. But you have to be patient with it.
Wow, that's amazing. I
Is
mean,
it? Yeah.
I think a lot of people though aren't willing to do strength training, so if
Yeah.
they aren't, then they probably can't do that, right?
Yeah. Well, nothing worth having comes easy, right? If there's no discomfort, you're not gonna grow. And this is why I love exercise so much. I think it's just a beautiful uh mirror of life, just like in life, to grow, you have to go through challenges or invite challenges onto you. Same thing like with the exercise. You can't grow a muscle unless you go through that slight discomfort that's outside of your comfort zone.
I mean, I think it's the best thing for self-esteem for women. I mean, absolutely, because, we talked about before, I mean, I was a personal trainer and like the first year or so that I became a personal trainer, it was just like a huge growth thing for me to focus on muscle rather than just focus on calories. And I mean, of course, I still thought about calories because I was like messed up, but to see that change of like body fat rather than just the scale was amazing,
Yeah.
and that was so. I mean, if a woman has never done that, it's a really important part of, feeling good about themselves. So
For me, mental health is huge. Like for me, the training, it's just, if I don't work out, my brain likes to be depressed. It just
yeah,
prefers to be depressed. So for me, mental health is probably the single number one reason that I train, cardio and strength training, both.
yeah. I have to do walking and walk outside a couple times a day. That's like the baseline. And then if I add a couple of days of strength training, then I feel even better. And so, I mean, yeah, it's really important. So, I mean, what do you think about how, like, if somebody's doing carnivore and they're like not really losing weight, what are some simple things like, do you agree with like the 2 pounds of meat per day, or is that like too much or what?
You could eat as many pounds of meat as you want if you're ingesting more calories than what your body is burning. You will gain weight. Pretty much every client that comes to me, normally nobody likes to come to me as a first resort because I'm like, track your calories, work out, and all that kind of stuff. They prefer to do the challenges like eat all you can eat. And for some people, it works, especially if you have a lot of weight to lose. You're going to lose a lot of weight initially, but eventually you're going to plateau. Remember, eventually metabolic adaptation is going to happen, right? So most of my clients will have tried that, and I mean, they gain weight. I mean, you can just go to the comments and all of there's a lot of people that are simply either gaining weight, actively gaining weight, and which no amount of extra body fat is ever going to improve your health, right? Remember, fat cells are inflammatory. the ones that are non-essential, right? So fat cells, they don't just sit there as a storage unit. They are actively also secreting inflammatory molecules that are messing up with all of your chemical structures and hormones and physiological reactions in your body. So I can see, I understand the intention behind it, but I think you can get the same results without also gaining body fat, as long as you're also moving your body so that you're not in a caloric surplus, you know? So yeah, I had a client who literally, I mean, so many of my clients, they've just gained so much weight, 30 pounds, 40 pounds, and then it can take a year to peel that off, literally a year. It's so much easier to gain body fat than it is to lose it. And then to lose it, now you go on. So after you gain all the body weight, now it's time to cut down, which means an extended period of time in a caloric deficit. What does that mean? Metabolic adaptation. Now you're slowing down your metabolism. It is true that you can speed up the metabolism by giving it extra calories, but how much are you going to speed it up in 1 month? Because it's not just the extra calories that's going to magically speed up your metabolism. To speed up your metabolism, you give it more calories very gradually, just to buy yourself time to get enough strength training workout sessions on your butt. It's really the strength training and adding the lean muscle mass that's going to speed up your metabolism. That's the real driver, you know? So yeah, I definitely would not recommend at all so that you just focus on eating more. It's really about training hard. If you want to eat more, which I'm all for, I think it's much better to eat more than it is to eat less. But you have to train and you have to train your body to shuttle the extra calories into muscle. That's true health, you know?
Yeah, and I mean that's what you want for long term. Like you don't want, but what happens for me is like I'm always, if I just eat meat only, like for example, I mean the weight will just fall off. Doesn't matter how many calories. But for the moment I start eating cheese or even eggs, like too many eggs, I can get bloated, and it's like this whole inflammatory thing going on. And so it's like, and I love cheese, and of course I love eggs. And then the more I could get away with like 2 or 3 eggs or 4 eggs a day, but if I eat like eggs multiple times a day and then add
Cheese on
and
top.
cheese, or if I start making like anyway, so but if I just eat protein, whatever, I mean, it doesn't have to be lean protein. If I just eat the meat the way it comes, it can be chicken wings, it can be fish, I mean, gross, but or it can be I mean, I like fish, but I just don't crave it anymore. Then I mean, I could eat hamburger till I'm blue in the face and I wouldn't gain an ounce, but the moment I start eating butter, cheese,
Yeah. You
eggs,
add some extra water weight, probably from the inflammation from the food sensitivity.
yeah, I
Yeah, I
mean,
can
it
totally
goes
see
up
that.
like 10 pounds in a week and back down. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, I've done full months where I will lose 10, 15 pounds in 1 month. If I just eat beef only, for example, I mean, I could eat 3 ribeyes in a day. And I
Yeah.
mean, not that I can afford that, but if I, if I do, I will like lose weight, but it's just really hard to keep it up because I love butter and
Right.
but I don't, I mean, but I know that I will gain weight. So anyway,
So
what is your diagnosis, doctor?
yeah. No, that's actually a common thing that I find. Food sensitivities are definitely something that can make weight loss harder, because if you're reacting to a food you're sensitive to, and remember, dairy and eggs are part of the top 7 most common food sensitivities, right? So you've got gluten, corn, soy, dairy, eggs, nuts, and seafood. Those are the top 7. And then if you want to add in the 8th, would be things like artificial sweeteners and cane sugar and yeast, and like MSG and yeast extract. So those are like the top common food sensitivity. So food sensitivity is similar to an allergy, but not quite. So it doesn't land you in the hospital right away. So you don't know that you have it, but it can lead to all kinds of issues, like, for example, the inflammation. It can lead to a brain fog or headache. It can lead to skin issues. Like there are people literally have acne simply because they're consuming dairy. They cut it out, the acne completely clears away, especially things like cystic acne. So I think determining if you have a food sensitivity, reflux is a major one. A lot of people have digestive issues, right? If you go on a carnivore and you start refluxing, it's like maybe you're just eating too much of like dairy or eggs, for example. So determining if you have a food sensitivity is such a great tool. And and here's the thing, it's like when you have it, you go up in weight. You take it out, you drop in weight. You know, it's just that those, like, say 10 or 15, depending on different people, they might react differently. But this fluctuation can be to the fact of like you added the food, inflammation goes up, water retention goes up, you removed it, you drop it down. So yeah, definitely, it can affect your energy levels. Taking it out, you're gonna feel better mentally, no cravings, more energetic, more motivated. So I'm glad that you know that already. You know, that's a good thing. You know,
Yeah.
but again, like to take it to the next level, it's still, here's what happens. So for example, in your experience, you realize you have a food sensitivity, right? But now to take it to the next level, if you, let's say you want to prepare for a bodybuilding show, you know, and you want to get peeled, you know, and so we have to track. We, if to those last few the pounds, those are the hardest pounds, and the metabolic adaptation is the worst in those last few pounds, you know, because I work with clients that also want to compete. And so preparing them for a show, it's much tougher than a person that I just started working with, and they have, let's say, you know, I've had clients drop 150 pounds already. You know, it's I'm not saying it's easy, it's easier than somebody who's all the way at the end, because the body fights you harder towards the end because you're so close to wasting away and dying. You know, it's like, what are
Yeah.
you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I had one of my old mentors, he died in doing a bodybuilding show. And
Wow.
so that kind of like put me off the whole thing because
Yeah. Well,
he was like
steroids.
30 years old and he just died. And I was just like, okay.
I think there's a general I don't know if disdain is right. I don't think it's that much of a strong emotion, but it's like generally they don't like to do cardio in bodybuilding. You know, because they're afraid of losing their muscles. And I think that's a problem when you add steroids plus no cardio plus artificial sweeteners and all of the, you know, you're not eating enough healthy fats and you're eating a lot of carbs. I don't know why there's been this trend towards, you know, the rice and the carbohydrates as a bodybuilder's typical meal plan. I think all of those things um, pile on to one another, and it could lead to that. I think you can do that in a healthy way, like for sure. It's just harder because, you know, when you have a craving, you can't turn to like an artificial sweetener. You still want to do the cardio. If you're doing the cardio, you're adapting to it, and then the metabolic adaptation gets worse, which means you have to start increasing the cardio even more. It's a whole thing.
Seems like cardio. I mean, I run like a couple half marathons and the, I mean, when you would run out of energy, you would literally like crash. I mean, crash and burn. And I mean, I can't imagine that now, like, because you don't ever really run out of energy when you're on carnivore, you know?
Right, right. I think that's the thing that's missing in just the general carnivore recommendations that most people are following. I think if they just add in the strength training and the cardio, they're gonna see just. I think you can get to 100% uh, rate, success rate with everybody reaching their body composition goals. You know, I think if you just do that, it's just that number one, it's an uncomfortable feeling. So people don't like to hear that too much. You know, it's like I have clients like I don't like they come to me, it's like I've never sweated in my life. Like I don't enjoy the, you know, that's very difficult to break through that mental block, right? So it's not the easiest thing. If I do a YouTube video and it has cardio in the title or the thumbnail, it's not gonna do well. So it's not, so now I have to be very creative in how I like clickbait you, you know?
I mean, I mean, we're a very sedentary culture, you know, all the way around. So, um, but if you don't know how much better it makes you feel just to move, even, I mean, I kind of put off running now because I feel like it really, that with the calorie cutting and calorie counting, I mean, that with the combination of vegetarian diet, all of those things like really screwed up my thyroid and everything. And so like now I'm just like terrified of running. And but you know, I know that movement is important. So I mean, I'm willing to move and everything and do strength training, but like I won't run anymore or anything like that. But you know,
So
that's
I
not the
actually,
reason maybe most people are afraid of it.
yeah, I agree. It's so many things. There's just so much fear mongering against cardio, and even in the bodybuilding and the bodybuilders, and I follow that sport very closely. And they're supposed to be the most athletic, and like they're supposed to be the ones that are always in the gym. And even they, like as a general rule, it's like don't do too much cardio, you're gonna adapt. But I disagree with that. I have actually filmed a YouTube video. I think you're gonna love watching that. About how cardio actually speeds up your thyroid hormones. They've done actual studies, and I link them all below the video. I'll send you the link right after. And here's how it goes. So, but it's a special type of cardio, the cardio where you're constantly getting faster and faster in it, not the one where it's like a joyride. You know, the joyride is not going to have as much of an impact as the progressively more intense cardio, and that's because it has to do with
Sprinting or
sweating.
something like that.
What? Yeah,
Like
sprinting or
sprinting.
yeah. I'm not a fan too much of sprinting because if you just do sprinting, you're gonna be done by like you probably just get done with like half a mile a day, and that's just not enough to really get all the benefits of cardio. It's great if you literally don't have any time, then fine, just do whatever you can do. But I think just a little bit less intense than sprinting, so that you can run super fast and without stopping too much, you know, and then you can get a lot more miles under your belt in that half hour or an hour, depending how much time you have to dedicate to that. So here's the cool thing, how cardio, especially the one where you're constantly getting faster with it, can speed up your thyroid hormone. So we have on the cell surface of every cell sodium potassium pumps. Those sodium potassium pumps, they're like proteins on the cell surface of our cells, and they regulate all. In addition to regulating electrolyte flow, they also regulate fluid flow inside and outside of the cell. When you're sweating your body to cool off your body temperature really fast, what does it do? It starts to sweat, right? The sweat, as it comes off of your skin, it cools your body down. So that means fluid changes are happening at a rapid rate. And the more intense the cardio, the more you're sweating, the more there is a stress on those sodium potassium pumps to work more efficiently. And you need more of them. What increases the density or the concentration of the sodium potassium pumps in your cellular membranes? Thyroid hormone. So after every tough workout session, cardio session, it's like a stressor. It sends the signal to your body to be better prepared and better adapt for the next time you do that cardio session. And the way that your body adapts to be ready for the next cardio session is it starts to increase its thyroid hormone production. So that the thyroid hormone, as you have more thyroid hormone, that sends the signal to create more sodium potassium pumps. So now you can sweat more efficiently. And so your metabolism actually increases. And the studies are, it's just when I saw that, because when I started talking a lot more cardio about YouTube on my YouTube, I was starting getting all of these questions. So I had to dig up the mechanism, and I had to do the research on that. And I filmed a YouTube video just summarizing all the research I found on this topic.
Well,
So
maybe
don't be afraid.
it was probably like the combination of such a poor diet with the cardio that really, you know, if I had just done one or the other, it might have been fine. But to do everything all at once, of having a very nutrient poor diet and pushing myself with weights and running and
Yeah,
having like a meat-free diet was pretty bad. So maybe, you know,
right.
if I hadn't done that. What do you say to people who like have really bad triggers? They're triggered by calorie counting, like
It's just like, success. Why is it that the 1% of the population succeeds in anything?
yeah, just a
Success is
hard.
hard. Whether it's in business, whether it's in relationships, whether it's in diet, if you want to have what few people have, you must be willing to do what few people would do.
Yeah. But I
Mic
mean, I
drop.
felt like I counted calories for so many years, and then, you know, when you end up, when you feel like you've followed like mainstream advice and you counted calories, you cut back on meat, you cut fat, and then your whole thyroid blows up, then
Right. You're like, I'm done.
you've got a
Yeah.
bad taste in your mouth about everything. You know, I did everything you told me to do, and my
Yeah.
health is, I mean,
Yes.
it's taken me 10 years, 15 years just to, you know, and then I had to start over again pretty much when I had a baby, and now like I'm back to kind of square one again. Well, I
Right.
mean, I'm not, I feel way better than I did, you know, when I first got sick, which was in 2010, but it's like, you know, I gained like 50 pounds when I had a baby. So it's like, you know, I'm like, what do I do now?
Yeah, no, I completely understand the frustration of just because we've been taught all the wrong things and we've been trying for so long, for decades, and then we didn't even know about metabolic adaptation. So it's like it just keeps getting harder and harder every time we try to lose weight again. And it's like I completely understand that. This is why, when I have those clients that are like in their 50s and 60s and they're just it's working for them. That's why I feel like they've dieted all their lives. They've destroyed their metabolism all their lives. They've had sugar addiction, food addiction, and even they finally got to where they wanted to get. And that's why I just love the carnivore diet so much and the training, of course, progressively. That's the thing, not any training. It's really about the uncomfortable minutes in your training because those are the ones that are going to put on lean muscle mass. Those are the ones that are going to get you faster with the cardio and increase the metabolism. It has to be uncomfortable.
Like
So it's
training to failure kind of thing.
yeah, very, very close to ideally to failure, or very, very close to failure. Yeah. If you're not uncomfortable, it's almost useless, So if let's say, I don't know, any weight that I can pick up, and if I can do more than 12, let's say with the lateral raises, if I can do more than 12, then it's a very, very light weight. You want to pick the weight for the muscle that you can lift only anywhere between 4 to 8 times, ideally less than 8, and then you fail. That would be the ideal weight to lift. And then you want to do at least 10 to 20 sets per week for that muscle group.
Per
It's a
week.
lot.
Like,
It's
yeah.
a lot. It's a lot. Yeah. The thing is with Instagram, you see all of those perfect, beautiful, amazing, muscular, lean bodies, and you don't see how much goes behind that. It's not easy, which is why you don't see most people walking around with physiques like that. It's hard. It requires work. It requires consistency. It requires tracking. It requires getting uncomfortable day after day, week after week, year after year. Very few people can keep that up,
Mm-hmm.
but it
It's
gets easier. It gets
like
easier.
like another job, right?
Right, right, right. But then it gets easier. Like if you can just wake up in the morning, get it out of the way, an hour and a half to 2 hours, you know,
Hmm.
whatever you can give me. If you just do that before everybody wakes up, and then the thing is, it makes you productive the rest of the day. Like for example, for me, I use the same, I'm always seeking out the discomfort. So the moment let's say I'm running and all of a sudden, it's like, wait a second, I'm a little too comfortable, I'm a little too happy right now. So I increase the speed some more. So I make sure as much as possible I stay in that uncomfortable zone. That same mentality transfers to when I'm working on a weight loss guide and I'm writing it or I'm doing research. My brain wants to go and pick up my phone and look at Instagram or do that. And so now I'm like, I use that same seeking of discomfort. I seek it out when I'm doing my cognitive work as well. And it's like every time I want to do something, I was like, nope, focus. And that's uncomfortable to
Yeah.
like resist the urge, right? But it's the same discomfort. That's what makes us grow. It's the same discomfort that allows me to pump out a super long guide in like 2, 3 days, whereas it could have taken me a month, if I were to follow my every little urge. It's that same thing that makes me get more productive, more efficient. And it's the same discomfort that makes me get faster and stronger at the gym.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, I think we're so adapted to comfort and just constantly looking for comfort, and that can deplete your dopamine too, right?
Oh, of course. Every time. So it's like dopamine, it's best. acquired on the back end. You do the effort first. I focus and focus and focus on the guide, and then I get a huge dopamine hit, or I get multiple dopamine hits as I'm feeling like I'm being productive throughout the hours that I'm writing it, right? Versus getting dopamine on the front end, where it's like you pick up the Instagram and you see, oh, a bunch of likes, or like da, 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 you get those dopamine hits, right? When you release dopamine with the effort not being placed, not having effort placed before it, you're just depleting the dopamine pool in your brain that you have. You want to create the dopamine. So you want to put the effort first, focus, 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 dopamine hit, focus, 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 dopamine hit, you know? So always the dopamine, the best kind of dopamine is the dopamine that you get on the back end, not on the front end of effort.
It's amazing. So what do you think about some of these carnivore trends going on? Like
Let's see, what are the trends that are happening right now?
well, I mean, some of them are already kind of gone, but like the stick of butter per day.
I filmed a YouTube video on that. It's like, don't do it. Remember, one stick of butter has 800 calories, right? And so, again, I understand the intention behind it. I get it. It's about, not restricting, but you can't just eat more, because here's what they're trying to do. They're trying to prevent the craving, which is this dip in dopamine, by allowing you to eat more butter and more fat, because fat does have some dopamine stimulating effects. But why would you want to get your dopamine hits and kind of overcome this low dopamine state by eating more and gaining more body fat and getting uncomfortable, when I can get the same dopamine hits and I can raise my baseline level of dopamine by training, by working out? If you just work out first thing in the morning, you will never have a craving in that day. It's just impossible, because especially the training, the way that I talk about, right, by consistently progressively getting more intense and consistently getting fitter and fitter. So over time, you should be able to lift heavier and heavier weights. Over time, you should be faster and faster and faster. You literally become like a physical specimen. It's like a super breed that I look at, because it's not just like physically you get stronger. The effects on the brain are mind blowing. You become also mentally, like, nothing can bring you down when you raise your baseline dopamine level, because what happens is that when you raise baseline level of dopamine, you're also raising your pain threshold. So if you have an argument or something bad happens or a tragedy strikes, you have such an insane resiliency for stress, because dopamine is the anti-stress molecule. You never see in physiology, you never see high dopamine, high cortisol. It's always the opposite. It's like high dopamine, low cortisol, and vice versa. So to really be resilient against stress, what you want to do is raise baseline levels of dopamine as much as possible. So why don't we just do that? As you raise baseline level of dopamine, there is no way that you're going to seek out an external dopamine hit from sugar or addictive foods, because your brain is already making it, so I think that is the optimal solution. I do understand some people literally like have severe diseases where they just can't move, but that's like 0.001%. I have a lot of clients that come to me, it's like, oh, I have knee pain and da, da, da. And it's like, and then it goes away the moment they start moving and strengthening their muscles. It pulls the pressure off of the joints. Like, for example, knee pain is very common. Once you start doing lower body strength training exercises and you strengthen your quads and your glutes and your hamstrings, it pulls the stress off of your kneecap, and all of a sudden the knee pain goes away. That in combination with a low inflammatory diet like a carnivore diet. And it's like, and I've learned, like, I don't care how much they make it out to be like, I have knee pain and did it, they all eventually it goes away.
Yeah, I always tell my mom, like she's really healthy for her age and everything, but she'll say, well, pain will travel around, and then it'll be one spot. And then I'm always like going back to strengthening. Like her diet is pretty good, but it's like, well, but if you only walk, and I mean, she is a really good walker, but I'm like, you have to strengthen like your knees and your butt, and because she'll get a hip pain and then it'll travel down to her knee a different, a month later it's her knee, and it's like, okay, it's all coming back to the same thing, and like what they teach old women is like, just do yoga and and it's like, okay, no, it's not going to be enough, you know? Um,
Exactly. Yeah, you gotta, and the older we get, it's even more important that we train even harder, right? Sarcopenia is the age-related loss of muscle, right? We start losing our muscle mass and our bones get weaker. What is the best way to strengthen bone density and muscle? It's strength training, because strength training is a self-inflicted form of a stressor or damage that leads to micro tears in your muscles and micro fractures in your bones. And as a compensatory reaction, your body heals the damage, but then it also wants to adapt better to this stress in case it happens in the future. So it makes you even stronger muscles and denser bones. Like what doesn't kill you only makes you stronger. I just exercise is the best.
what about the cold plunging?
It's great. I mean, I don't do cold plunging. I just take cold, like I finish off my showers with like a very, very cold water, but it's not really that cold because when you live in Florida, you don't really know what cold is, I think, right? Yeah. Cold plunges are fantastic. I think it helps train your brain for discipline and it's great. But if you're thinking that that's going to raise dopamine, which I think a lot of people think, oh, it'll just do cold plunges to raise my dopamine. It takes like 2 hours in cold pleasures. You know, those the studies have shown like that's how long you need to be in of a stressor to raise baseline dopamine level. I just find it so much more effective to do it with exercise, you
Weight
know?
training, yeah.
Yeah.
And what about the whole thing with like getting the sunlight and everything? What do you think about that?
It's great. I think the more, you know, we kind of manage our different light exposures and learn how to use light to our advantage, I think there's a lot of power in that. Um, but I've never seen anybody like achieve optimal body composition, you know, just doing things like you still have to work out, you still have to track, and you have to reverse diet out of the weight loss, or you have to take a diet break in between. Like you can do a weight loss session, lose a lot of weight after like 4 to 6 weeks. Now we do a diet break for 2 weeks to offset the metabolic damage so you can keep going with it, you know, like a lot goes into it.
Well, tell us um your day of eating.
Yeah, eggs and bacon. I'm doing baby Swiss cheese. I'm obsessed with that lately. So I'm doing that. And then I'm doing a lot of, I've discovered and everything like chicken thighs and chicken wings and drumsticks in the air fryer. I am obsessed. So that's what I've just obsessed with that. I did a lot of chicken thighs like last month. See, I kind of like obsess over one thing and I do it until I'm sick of it and then I change. So I did that last month. This month I'm doing so I generally do like breakfast and dinner and then like a snack in the middle, which is usually like frying cheese with some pork rinds, just a little snack with a little bit of something that's crunchy that I like to have. But breakfast is usually almost always eggs and bacon and a little bit of cheese. Or if I don't have time and I'm like running super late, I'll just do carnivore crisps and I add a little bit of cheese on top and I'll just have that, or even without the cheese sometimes. So that's my usual breakfast. And then that little snack is usually like pork rinds or more carnivore crisps, but usually it's pork rinds and like frying cheese or brie cheese with that. So good. And then for dinner, I will do chicken. I used to do chicken thighs. This month, I'm doing chicken wings air fried. Plus, I'm doing like something like a salmon on the side with some whipped butter on the side. It's so good.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
making me hungry.
Right. I'm hungry right now, actually, now that you mention it. Yeah.
I know you had like I know you had like a little disagreement with some people this week.
Oh, the misogyny in the carnivore community. I was debating, should I do a video on the misogyny in the carnivore community? If it's like, I feel like I'd rather focus on just making my YouTube videos better, and I don't think they're worth it. You know, I don't think it's worth. I think, yeah. Tell me, what do
I
you
mean,
think?
I'm just one, it's like, I think with the whole thing with COVID, it became like more of a political environment in carnivore because it was like, okay, we don't trust the government, we don't trust, and I mean, it kind of just got, and we have like a lot of the conspiracy theorists in the carnivore, and I don't know, it's it's like, to me, I don't want to do it for political reasons. I mean, um, so, and yeah, I worry that it's getting to like, I don't want people to think like, oh, if she's carnivore, then she believes XYZ, certain things like, um, so anyway, I wonder what you think about it.
I honestly, when I saw that post, so it was for people who don't know what happened. A certain someone in the carnivore community who has a lot of carnivores that follow him posted a derogatory post, like what constitutes a marriage material. Let me show it to you.
I
Uh,
mean, I've never actually heard of that person before
oh,
you
really?
showed it. Um,
Yeah, I was just so disgusted. I was like, why would I ever follow a person like that? It literally just disgusts me to even remember the incident. It was the most horrific thing.
well, it's
Like
also
I,
like, why would anybody I mean, a woman, why would any woman who didn't have trouble with her weight even be a carnivore? Like, I mean,
right.
you'd have to have that's almost no woman who is in the carnivore space. Like, because one of the
It,
things that they said was women who had a weight problem or something. And it's
are
like,
not marriage material. Yeah.
yeah, are not
Here-
marriage material.
so it's so he reposted a post from this other coach Damon is the name of that person, and it's so funny that coach, his all naked, like you can see it doesn't have a shirt on, to see his six-pack abs. He's like no clothes on, and then in the post it says that if you don't wear it, like if you're wearing provocatively or posting thirsty images, like basically you're not wearing enough clothes, like you're not marriage material, but then he's not wearing any clothes. It's like the hypocrisy, it just blows my mind.
Only guys can take their shirts off or whatever.
Exactly. So
I
it
mean,
says
I'm a very modest person. I know you like to post things, but are
bathing.
more like, bathing suits and stuff. But I definitely would. You would never see me, even if I got to like the very perfect weight. That wouldn't fly with my husband anyway.
Oh, really? Oh, that's funny. Yeah, no, my hubby is like, no, you see, it's so funny because my hubby is like, you look great. Like, and I'm like, do you really think this looks so? He's like, yeah, yeah, I love it. Like he doesn't care. And it's not like, regardless of how you like to dress, it does has nothing to do with that. It's about the inequality. It's about, for men, it's okay for them to do one thing, but for women, you can't do that, because
Yeah.
why? It's
I mean, it should be your choice, like whatever you want to do or whatever you're comfortable or your family is comfortable with, or
right.
you and your spouse, or if you're single, like doing whatever you want and like,
It's just, it blows my mind. It's like not, it's a human body. Like it's just a body, It's not, I'm not posting, unlike with the person who we're talking about is posting pictures of his guns and stuff. Not like something that can be, like what is so terrible about a female body? I think it's beautiful. I think it's art. I think I just it's pretty to look at, and it is the reason we're alive. It's the reason for procreation. It's the reason we're all alive and breathing and giving out our opinions. But here's a post. It says, if you want a woman that's marriage material, avoid women that have these red flags: bad relationship with parents, overweight, eats emotionally, lacks emotional intelligence, excessive piercings, colored hair like green, blue, and pink. But other colors are okay. Just we have a problem with green, blue, and pink.
I think,
Divorced, dresses provocatively often, posts thirsty images, has high body counts. That means you've slept with a lot of men. But I'm sure that if it were a guy, it's okay to sleep with a lot of women. It's just so dumb.
yeah, I mean, I just wish we could keep like the politics out of it.
I just, I'm not, like, for me, I reshared it on my Instagram feed, and I was like, this is absolutely disgusting, and I unfollowed him and his wife because she was like trying to defend him. He's like, no, he's talking about me. That's the list that applies to me. It's like, do you have to put down other women just to praise your wife? And it's so funny because his wife is posting bikini pictures all the time, and it's like, but he has a problem with women who post dresses provocatively or
And
whatever.
also, I mean, I feel like different times in your life, like, I mean, nobody's perfect. Like they go through phases and like some people are, I mean, at one point, my life, I was drinking more and now I don't, but like
Right.
it's
Right.
been
It's just,
years, it's like people change too.
and you know what? They're entitled to their opinion, and they showed me who they are, and I just have a zero tolerance policy for misogyny. I will never associate my brand with that. I just refuse. I left Lebanon because of the inequality between men and women, and we see what happens in countries when there is inequality. We know exactly what happens, and I've seen it. So I will never associate with people like that, which is why I unfollowed and I shared that. And it's like, and a lot of people unfollowed them because of this. It's like they were also just horrified, just like we all were to
I
see
mean,
that.
I think we forget like when my mom she couldn't get a credit card, in the 80s and stuff like that. I mean, that's
Yeah.
the kind of stuff we take for granted now. And,
It's
women couldn't
insecurity.
own a car or women couldn't own a
Yeah.
house or things like that. I
Yes.
mean, we don't want to go backwards to that. If women in old England couldn't inherit property, they had to have a chaperone, I don't know the word, to like
Lazy.
if their dad left them a house, somebody else had to hold it in their name or something. I mean, it was like, we don't want to go back to that. And
Exactly.
in some ways, I mean, I am more traditional in some ways, but um, I don't want to lose my rights to, be, voting and things like that. So,
Right. Right. And you can, like it's really about that it's okay for men to do one thing, but it's not okay for women to do the same thing. I think that's the biggest thing that I disagree with, and I will never support nor associate my brand with in any way, shape, or form. Equal equal rights for men and women only make life better just for everybody. It makes a relationship happier, it makes everything better. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just disgusted by there's so much misogyny in the carnivore community. I've noticed that even more after this, what happened. And in a way it's good because it's like clears out all of those people that I was like, ew, it's just so freaking disgusting.
well, hopefully, I think most people are more moderate and kind of middle of the road, and I mean, can see it as a dietary approach, not a full
Oh
uh,
yeah.
philosophy on everything, on
It's not a
everything.
cult. Exactly. It's not a cult. But and I think some people get sucked into it and it just becomes their identity. It's like a food plan is not your identity. It has nothing to do with that. What if in the future we discover so much more insight and more research on certain foods? I mean, not that long ago, I swore by the keto diet, and then upon new research and new information and personal experimentation, I discovered carnivore even better. Like you never know, so you can't be attached to that.
And yeah, I mean, and you could always swing back to adding more foods later on
Exactly.
because you're
Yeah.
fed up with carnivore, and also it's about finding like which foods it's so personalized. Like some people can tolerate like for me, cauliflower and broccoli, I think were one of the worst things that I ate. And I ate it so much. And like,
Right.
but if I eat a zucchini or like a piece of butter lettuce, it's like no big deal. But if I went back to eating a head of cauliflower and broccoli every single day, I'd start having all those digestive problems and all
Mhm.
that stuff. And it's also about the amount too. I mean, I don't think every vegetable, like I love pickles. Like I
Right.
don't think every freaking vegetable is going to kill you, but like it's also the amount that you eat and if it's raw or not raw and things like that.
1000%. There's tons of people that are eating a mixed diet that are in an amazing shape. I mean, I love JLo. And so, I mean, she eats whatever she wants. And she's like super, of course, she works out. She tries to be a little healthy, but there are people that can do that, and it's genetically they're fine with it. They have maybe more defenses against lectins. Like for example, the layer of your mucosal lining, the thicker it is, the more it can defend against lectins, anti-nutrients, and plant self-defense chemicals. If you were breastfed, you'll have a thicker lining, you will have better defenses. So my husband, he was breastfed for 3 years, it's this amazing health, and he could tolerate a lot, but even him, for example, spinach gave him terrible back pain. And then when he took that out, no, like just it's every once in a while we remember, it's like, wow, isn't it amazing that it was the spinach that was causing you this debilitating low back pain? So yeah, it's not this all or nothing approach. I know it's easier on us mentally to say that's it, this is gonna be the cure for everything in my life, and it's not.
Yeah, and depends on, I mean, I think my parents are stronger than our generation. Like they're seems like no matter what they do, they just are like bulletproof. They can just kind of bounce back from it. And I'm just like, I got sick so much younger than they did, like
Right.
than they ever would have. They're still fine. Like, and I'm just like, they're
Right.
75. My parents are 75 and they're still like, hanging in there. And I'm just like, I fell
Yeah.
apart at 30.
Yeah, I think we're just being exposed to so much more in our environment. Also, this stuff like the glyphosate on our plant foods, all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
We're just exposed to more, I think, environmental toxins on top, of that. Probably also the medications, the drugs. I don't know if we should go there, but even the concentration of these that we're given, it's like it keeps going up. The numbers keep going up, and I think we just kind of we need to take it slower and really study what are the real effects of all of these exposures, We don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely did not want to find out the hard way with all those things. So
Oh
just
yeah. Yeah, me neither. Yeah, my hubby didn't listen to me and got heart palpitations. They were terrified because he never gets any problems and he doesn't know what a headache is, and he was having for months on end. He was like, yeah, you're right. I shouldn't have. And I'm like, see, listen to me next time. But it's just when you're in the like fear mongering world, and it's like, what if I could die from this. I mean, I understand the fear, but I think we should have offered a more nuanced, um, like just a real give Americans and the world both sides of the story, not just this is the one thing you should do, because your age plays a role, your health status plays a role in determining if you should take it or not. I'm not one of those who's like, no, never take it. I'm not like that. No, I do understand. Like if you're my grandma is in her 80s, I want her to take it. Like,
yeah.
because we know what's gonna happen if she doesn't. Like I don't know. I'm not this all or nothing approach, but I think there are a lot of people who ended up having with more negatives than positives in their situation because they were healthy and they were fine, and they could have definitely fought that. And instead, they exposed themselves to a certain risk that maybe in their case it wasn't necessary.
Yeah, I mean, and it's also like if they're willing to get healthier or they're not, like my parents were not willing to do anything different, and so it was like, well, you better get it then. Because if you're
Exactly.
not willing to cut back on sugar or
Yeah.
exercise or whatever, common sense things, then
Yeah.
I guess that's your only option, especially if you're older, like you said. I mean,
Exactly.
I think, yeah, they should have focused more on just older people and not everybody, It's just like,
Yeah.
okay, these are the people that it's really getting, and the rest of us
Yeah.
the rest of us, let's just focus on getting healthier.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Or just don't censor. Don't censor. Like we got censored, we couldn't say anything. The hashtag natural immunity was blocked on Instagram for a very long time.
Hmm.
I got a YouTube video on that was taken down by YouTube. To this day, I still have a warning on my YouTube channel
Oh,
of
wow.
that, and it's just because I was talking about how to boost your immune system. Because the title of that's I think what was it? The coronavirus diet was the name of the title of the
Oh, well, there
course.
you go.
Yeah. But the whole thing inside of it, I just did a little brief overview of everything we knew about it, and then how to boost your immune system with diet. I didn't say anything about don't take this or do that. I just talked about how can you support yourself with your diet. Why would that be taken down? Tell
Yeah.
me to change the title. That's fine. How to boost your immune system. I could do that, but don't take it down and give me a warning. Because then, if you get a warning on your YouTube channel, then if you do something similar to that, you get a strike, one strike, two strike, third strike. Your channel is out forever. And even if you start to, well, only if you get 3 strikes within a 90-day. Let's not fear monger here. If you get 3 strikes in 90 days, they take down your channel and you cannot start another YouTube channel even under any other name. They won't let
Oh,
you.
wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, serious stuff.
But that's pretty bad. I mean, you'd have to be pretty bad to get three in 90 days.
Um, yeah, you'd have to really not care about your channel. Like the moment this happened to me, I was silenced. Yeah, I stopped.
Oh,
I was creating so many updates on everything we were learning day by day. I was creating updates. And then when I posted that course, it was a course that I already have it on udemy.com. So online course, and and I made it out to be free and people were taking it. I just took it and I posted it on YouTube. And then once that was taken down, I was like, okay, you know what? I'm not gonna risk this. Why? It's like I have other interests and passions, and I can be a successful YouTuber and build my brand doing other things. So I'm not gonna take that risk. And I stopped. And that's how they silenced a lot of doctors.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got afraid to say anything because I was just like,
Yeah.
I just don't want, I mean, I don't want to make the effort to make a good video and then it's just nobody sees it or it's taken down or because they don't like what I'm saying. So,
Exactly. Or they start to not show you in the search results, which is what they're doing right now to functional medicine doctors, right? After YouTube signed this agreement with the World Health
oh,
Organization.
right.
Yeah, everything that is not what the World Health Organization deems to be official dietary or health information is deemed misinformation or it's just put lower down in the search results. So that can also, you can literally be shadow banned. This is exactly what happened like in Twitter. There were rumors it was happening, and until Elon Musk actually bought it and revealed that in their documents it is very clear, there is evidence that they were shadow banning people. It could be happening in everywhere. I'm pretty sure it is happening everywhere. We just don't know about it yet.
Yeah. I mean, I think yeah, if you're not just saying, repeating like eat more fiber and get your 6 to 11 servings of grains or whatever, then you're not
Yeah.
really, they're not pushing it out. So I don't even know because everything I see is carnivore. So I don't even really know what's,
What are the official? They're still the same. They haven't progressed. The
I don't
Academy
know
of Nutrition
what's,
and Dietetics. Why? Because we have a $1 trillion food industry
mm.
that is, working hand in hand with the Academy of
Why
Nutrition.
did you not just like stick with being a dietitian?
Like me, why? I so I I mean, I'm already coaching people, right?
Yeah.
And even with that, like what I was telling you earlier, is like I try to keep those slots limited so I can focus more on leveraging my time so that when I create a product, I'd rather have more streams of passive income as opposed to coaching people one-on-one. Yeah, I would say like that's the biggest thing. And like why I'm not why I don't, and I rarely even market like my one-on-one coaching sessions. I just try to, I all my promo, if you notice, I'm always pushing the guides and stuff because it's like very similar information to what I do with my one-on-one coaching, but then you do it once and then people can access it forever, and then I can write about other topics because there's so many things that go into achieving, losing weight, or how to do a carnivore diet, or how to manipulate dopamine in the brain. So the first guide that I have out has been doing great. I'm so happy. It's called Dopamine Body, and that's how to calculate your calories, how to create a caloric deficit, how to work out to maintain that, all that kind of stuff. And now this week, I don't know when this interview is going to come out, but this week I'm be putting out also on my website Dopamine Brain, which is because I have people reach out after I launched the Dopamine Body. It's like, well, what about if I just have addictions, like alcohol addiction or cigarettes or things like that, but I don't really want to lose weight. So I created this targeted, simply how to manage addictions and manage dopamine levels and keep them elevated, and how to raise your baseline level of dopamine. So to try and, help cater to as many people as I can.
That's great. I mean, I think, you can reach a lot more people with a guide because everyone can't afford, one-on-one coaching. So that helps actually a lot more people. And
Exactly.
so if somebody wants to lose weight really quick, just tell them a couple of quick ways to start.
Never lose weight without also strength training, because you don't want to slow down your metabolism too much. Strength training offsets that. Because you're still going to have metabolic adaptation, which we can do another whole thing about reverse dieting and all that stuff. But strength training, eat enough. I don't know why this is doing the reaction. I don't know. Oh, because I have it selected to recognize my hand gestures. I removed
Okay.
it. Yeah. So strength training, you must create a caloric deficit. To create a caloric deficit, you need to track. I'm sorry, I know. Unless you have hundreds of pounds to lose, you don't need to track. You're going to lose weight much easily. But eventually, most people they will have to track. Enough protein, because protein also helps support the strength training and put on lean muscle mass to prevent the metabolic slowdown. Whatever your weight is in pounds, your ideal body weight is in pounds. So if you're 300 pounds, don't eat 300 grams of protein. What is your ideal body weight? Eat that in grams of protein. So let's say you're 300 pounds. Let's say your ideal body weight, you would guesstimate it to be 150 pounds. So you would want to consume 150 grams of protein a day. So yeah, strength training, caloric deficit, which means you got to track, and enough protein. There's so much, but right off the bat, those are it. And a progressive overload. Constantly push the limits in your workouts, because that's what's going to offset the adaptation.
Those are great tips. Thank you, Dr. Zaldivar. Really appreciate your time today. So we'll put this up soon, and please subscribe to our channels and follow us and ring the notification bell, and let us know in the comments, what do you think about what we talked about today, and what should our videos in the future be about? All right, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.